Hey guys, welcome back to the Catch Me Off-Road YouTube channel. What in the heck is going on with the truck? Why is it up in the air? Well, I would like to tell you why. So today is the day I'm attempting to install the leveling kit, front and rear, 2-inch lift in the rear and a leveling kit in the front, made by Foutz. I got here about an hour ago to work, and I've been cranking away at this by myself and running into some problems, and then I remembered I was supposed to be filming this for you guys. So here's the status currently. You can see the spring is missing from right in there, and the bump stop and this whole assembly right here. The tire's off, obviously. So here's what it looks like right now. These are the spacers that I showed you last time. It's a 2-inch spacer. That's the spring that goes on the rear. Let me zoom out a little bit for you. So that's the rear spring. It's massive. And there's this little rubber piece that goes on top. All right, holds it in place. I have the spring compressed. That's how I got it out of there. I just removed the tire, put the spring compressors on, compressed it, pulled the spring out, and it came out with this bump stop right here. It's just a rubber bump, and this part right here is steel. And the way it was is it had these two little studs right here that were pressed in, one on this hole right here and one on this hole, and that's what prevents the, these are studs, so they don't spin, because you can't access them from the bottom, because the way it sits is like this on the truck. Basically just like this. Of course, it's not aligned right now. This little rubber guy is supposed to fit in in a hole here. But so this part is the part I added, but there were just two studs sticking out where these two bolts are right now, and those were fastened from right up here. Let me turn on my flash. Right here, that's one hole, and that's one hole right there, as you can see. And so you just have nuts that get tightened right here, so obviously they'd spin if you couldn't get access to the bottom if they were normal bolts like I have. So since we're replacing studs with actual bolts, I went and got these Allen head bolts from a local shop that are 2 inches longer than the factory studs, so that we can have room for our 2 inches of extra lift. So these are the bolts right now, and like I said, they're bolts, not studs. And so I just realized that since the bolts are going to be blocked, by this rubber piece right here, that's the heads of them. You can't get an Allen wrench on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld them on here. So they basically take the place of these pressed studs. Those are pressed in, by the way. I had to press them out with a hydraulic jack. It wasn't too bad. It took a couple minutes. So I grinded away at all of the paint around here, and I grinded the top of the bolt heads. They were coated in that black, can't remember the name of it, something oxide, metallic oxide or something, I can't remember. It's like a rust preventative thing. Grinded that off, and I'm going to try to weld them and then paint over it so they don't rust. And then hopefully we should be able to put this all back in there. It's going to be a little difficult because we now have 2 extra inches of lift, so I'm going to have to compress the spring even more to make it fit around the 2 inches, the extra 2 inches right there. But stay tight, or hang tight. I'm going to go ahead and weld these up, and I'm a horrible welder, so I'm just going to try to booger them up a little bit to keep them from spinning, really is all it's doing. It's not for any load or anything like that. It's just to keep them from spinning so I can tighten the nuts on top. And this whole thing is just a way to, it's a two-part thing. It does two functions. One of them is the bump stop, which you can actually replace these with hydraulic bumps. Foutz makes a kit to replace this whole piece, and it puts a Fox, I think a 2.5-inch bump stop in there, or King or whatever other brand. The other function it performs is it centers the spring. It's not taking load from the spring. The spring is just bashing along this plate right here, and this obviously is going to be on the top when it's all back together. But this is just centering the spring, keep it from bouncing out of its housing, because there's nothing holding the spring on. It just sits right in here. It's got this little extrusion right here, and then it sits in this little area on the top, but with the spacer it's going to push it down to about here, so the spring's not going to start till about here. So we're really going to rely on that center diameter there, this part right here, to center the spring. So hang tight. I don't want this video to get too long, but let me go ahead and weld these up, booger them up, and we'll try to get it back together. Alright guys, I just finished welding up. All you welders out there, keep your comments to yourself. I know I'm awful at this. I got kind of a frowny face going right there. I see the eyes and the frowny face, or mustache. I just finished welding them. I just kind of put some boogers all around them, 4 or 5 of them, and then used a grinder and grinded it all down so it's all flush. If you look from the side view, pretty flush. I'm going to go ahead and spray paint it now, and then try to install it. Wish me luck. Alright guys, so it was all welded up. I grinded it and painted it and didn't get a chance to show you that because I'm kind of in a hurry. If I have time to show you the other side, I will. But I went ahead and compressed the springs a little bit more using an impact, just so it's easier than doing it by hand with a ratchet. And was able to, by myself, get the whole spring assembly with the rubber piece on top, with the bump stop, which is the metal piece right in here you see in the middle that's connected to this guy. And with my 2-inch spacer, I was able to fish it all through there, put the nuts on top. My bolts are a little bit longer than the stock ones, but they're perfect. There's no issues right here with clearance. And then I clicked my hose, my rear brake or shock reservoir connector onto there, snapped it on, and one side is done just like that. So little things that were unexpected, like popping out the original studs and having to weld these ones in, that was unexpected, but didn't take too long. It took me probably a couple hours to do this side. Hopefully the other side will go a lot quicker. So I'm going to move on to that one. And I just want to point something out. When you're installing this thing again, if any of you are doing something similar, Foutz makes a kit just like this. So when you go ahead and put that one in, you have to make sure that the little rubber indexing little thingamajig on the rubber fits in the right hole on this guy. And then that will align your spring, so you know your spring is facing the right way. Because this part only allows the spring, oh man, of course it's impossible to see now, but only allows the spring to sit in one way. I don't know if you can see it in there, probably not. But as long as you have the little rubber nipple centered on this thing and the spring centered on this rubber piece, then everything should fall into alignment. And then at the bottom, there's nothing really that holds it in. It just kind of sits on this the lower spring coil kind of sits flush with the bottom. This is the one that I haven't touched yet. This is completely stock. And you can see it kind of hangs up high just because I'm in full droop right now and I don't have the extra 2 inches of spacing pushing this down. But so you can see when I move that around a little, but it just kind of sits flush in there. And it's the same thing. They have a tag on them. So the springs have a tag on the bottom with the part number and then a tag on the top right there that says frame, if you can read. So that side faces the frame. So you don't put them in backwards or anything. So just thought I'd point that out. I'm gonna go ahead and get on the other side now, and hopefully I'll film when I weld that one and grind it and stuff and paint it so you can see what it looked like. So I figured now would be a good time to show you. All I did literally was take off the tire on this side. We're on the left side now, driver's side. Took the tire off, took the 2 nuts off the top right here. Those are the studs, and then I put the spring compressors on and just hit them with the air hammer. Air impact, and started compressing them slowly, one side at a time. You know, a couple seconds on this one, couple of seconds on this one, and kept going until they compress it about that much. And you can see all it's doing is pulling the spring downwards, and it's leaving a huge gap here. So when I put my 2-inch spacer back in, it should fit, hopefully no problem. And right now, you know, the spring's just kind of sitting in there, it's just loose. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift it up this way, towards me and out. We're gonna go do the same thing, press the studs out, put the new ones in, and weld it. I just wanted to show you what it looks like when you compress the spring. When you're in full droop already, the spring just kind of falls out. It's very nice. All that's holding the spring in there normally is the pressure of it, you know, the tension of it on the axle and on the perch up here, the mount. So that's all that's holding it together. In addition to these two, see, the nuts are really only holding this collar piece in, but not the spring. I can lift this whole rubber piece right off here. If you see, it's moving right there. See, the spring is not really held in by anything. It kind of snaps in there. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do this side, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is how I'm pressing the studs out. I just have a piece of steel in here, and I'm using a hydraulic press, just an old janky one. And I have some steel plates in here holding this part up, and watch what happens. I'm just gonna start cranking on the handle up here. There it goes. So now I can release the pressure. Get this guy out of the way. Get this guy out of the way, and you'll see that my stud, see this one, it's just kind of flopping there. There we go. So that was the second one. I already did the first one off camera, but there are my 2 holes right there, and 2 studs. That's how it works. It's that easy. They just pop right out. And actually, one more thing I want to show you. The way they were in here originally, if you look, they have a star pattern right there. And the studs also have a little star pattern on them, like a little collar, and that's part of the bolt, part of the stud. And that allows it to not spin once it's pressed in there. So we're replacing those little stars with welds. That's the idea. All right, the driver's side one is welded. Don't even make fun of me. These are the worst welds I've ever seen. And what happened was, this is embarrassing. I forgot to turn on the gas for the first one. And I was like, man, why is this thing spattering so bad? Maybe I don't have a good ground. I checked my ground, checked my distance away. I got closer with the MIG welder, and then realized halfway through that my gas was off. So I turned it back on and made some slightly better ones, but at least they're penetrating a little better. Anyway, don't make fun of me. I'm not a welder or a machinist or anything. Just a normal dude. But I'm getting ready to let this cool down because I just got done grinding it. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit, let it cool down, and then spray paint it. Hit it with a couple coats of paint, and then we'll go ahead and install it. All right, sorry for the noise level in here. I got done grinding these welds, terrible welds that you saw, and I just hit it with a coat of paint. I'm using some high temp stuff because it's all I have right now. And now we just let it dry for about 10 minutes. And just like that, the driver's side is done. This one is a little harder to get in. I don't know why. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason for it. I just might have done something different. I don't know. But I just got it in there, tightened these nuts up to about 2 ugga-duggas. Pretty tight. They were on pretty tight originally, so I put them on pretty tight afterwards. Snapped on my little braided cable right here. And the bottom is lined up nice, just like it was before I messed with it. You can see right there, the spring coil ends right there, right where it was before. And the top is also aligned pretty well in there. You can't really see it now because this rubber thing shields it, but it's lined up pretty good. So I'm done now. I just got to put the wheels or tires back on and lower this bad boy, and I'll give you guys a look, a view of what it looks like after. Keep in mind, I'm only doing the rear today. I'm going to try to do the front tomorrow. I'll probably make a separate video for the front perch collars. Today is Sunday, the day before Labor Day, September, 6th or something. And so this video will come out first, and then you'll see the video of the front as well. I'll drive it around today with a little bit of rake, 2 inches higher in the back than it is in the front. It might look a little goofy, but we'll see. All right, guys, truck is back on the ground, and this is the final product. What do you guys think? It looks about like it was from the factory, rake-wise, with the 37s being much bigger than the 35s. The rake looks about equivalent. So mine actually settled, the rear settled, and it came about level with the back, with the front. So my truck's been riding around pretty level. So I wanted to get the rear up and the front up together. So right now I have a little bit of rake, like I said, but once we add the perch collars up front, it should be pretty level again, just higher, just a couple inches higher. A little more clearance for the 37s to not rub, especially in the front. Well, only in the front, the rears don't really rub. But also, once I load it up with gear and the tire cage in the back, it'll weigh it down a little bit, and I wanted it to not be sagging in the back. So I think this was the perfect solution. Overall, I'd give it in terms of difficulty, maybe a, maybe a 5 out of 10. It wasn't too hard, and I'm not great mechanically. So I thought it was pretty decent if you have access to the tools that I have access to. What else did I want to talk about? That might be it for today. This video will probably, I'll try to post it very soon, and then hopefully the next one you see will be about the front getting lifted. So unfortunately I didn't take any measurements. I know everyone's going to ask me what were the measurements before and after. Unfortunately I don't know. All I know is my perch or my spacer was exactly 2 inches thick. You can actually see it there, the metal shiny color, and that's made of really nice billet aluminum. People are probably going to ask why I didn't paint it black to match in. I actually kind of like the look of the silver there. It kind of matches the Bilstein shocks and the braided cable and some other stuff down there, so it looks kind of cool. I'm going to leave it like that. It would be easy to hit it with some spray paint from the outside if I really wanted to mess with it, but I'll probably leave it for now. Anyway, this install is complete. I'm a little tired now because it's hot as hell in here, but I'm going to get home, and hopefully the next video you see will be the front. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.